Of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tristero, Chapter 141 of Unexpected Reunions, Part 2. Pulling a tray of mixed rabbit and cat-themed cupcakes from one of the chilled racks, Aizawa Shouta decided that the most rational course of action was to play along. For now.
Okay,
he breathed, his tone hopefully no different than what it should be.
The three of you can be trusted to take all of these back to your friends, right? You're not going to eat them all before you get there, are you?
Watching as the three veritably lit up, their eyes widening joyously as they chirped out a "Nope!" He carefully leaned down to present the 15 treats to them.
Good, so, Nato, I want you to carry them whilst Izuku holds open the doors for you. How's that?
He mused, the delight running across their faces, something he'd killed to protect. God, he could only hope that it wouldn't come to that.
Thank you, Papa. We'll be sure to share them, but I call dibs on the purple cat one.
Oh, Izu, you so totally have that green bunny. Which means the golden cat is yours, right? Watching them go, his insides nodding as after a look Shigaraki shared with him, the man followed the children to the door. He was moving too until the raised hand stopped him. Shit.
Here you go, my boys. I'll get this first door for you. Be careful on your way now. Oh,
do keep my visit a secret for me, won't you? We don't want the surprise spoiled, do we? Shit! Okay, Shigaraki-san.
See you later.
Bye, Shoni. What was this goodbye? Swallowing thickly, his hands balled into fists, Shota couldn't bring himself to say anything, and so, because it would at least buy him some time, he moved back to the fridge and grabbed another cake. It was a shame that lobbing it at the intruder and making a run for it to sound the alarm again wasn't rational, logical, or plausible, wasn't it? Then, trying his best not to glare, he turned around and approached the smirking man so casually leaning against the stainless steel workbench, the mirth he saw turning his stomach once more. How delightful. My morning pie was similarly delicious, as always. The old fiend grinned, his shoulders rumbling with pleased chuckles whilst he inclined his head at him in thanks, his fingers taking the confection without causing harm. Well, other than psychological. Why not come and join me, He furthered whilst patting the workbench beside him, his smirk shit-eating whilst he leaned against it and began to devour the rabbit-eared treat, his face colored with pleasure as he savored the first bite. I hope it chokes you.
Why not?
He returned through a huff, his shoulders stiffening as he approached where he was being directed.
So what do you think? It's a yuzu and poppy seed cake with a pineapple jam center.
He furthered with a light shrug, his eyes flickering to the fire door. Any second now. God, how was he going to stop the seemingly inevitable brawl from breaking out and potentially destroying the resort, killing his... No, he couldn't think that way. It's delicious. Then, just as he anticipated, the number one pro burst through the door, his form stricken. Toshinori-san, you don't look well? He prayed that his partner would never have to look that way again.
Shigaraki,
the blonde breathed.
You...
The oldest of their gathering tittered whilst holding up the last bite of his treat within its black paw print cupcake wrapper. Let's not be hasty, he cooed. We have much to discuss, and I'd rather do so without you smashing anything. He furthered, his smile wide as he polished off the final mouthful with a wistful sigh. Now then, before you pop a vein and ruin your wedding clothes, Almighto, I feel I must start this conversation by informing you that, upon my release...
Escape?
The Zengiz man is. I have not killed anyone. No, I've merely tilted my holiday home a touch on its axis. Why, I haven't even stolen any quirks as a token of my goodwill upon my latest venture. He continued pleasantly, his body at total ease, despite the blue crackling power surging about his husband's dead form. Damn! He was coiled up like a spring, his body framed by the frayed-edged fire door as he struggled to keep his composure. He needed to do something.
And we appreciate that,
he offered after a shaky exhale, those crimson eyes meeting his whilst Toshinori grit his teeth.
Some of the boys were here just now. They are fine.
he continued, his gaze then moving to the bronzed hero meaningfully.
I think talking and listening is best for us all, don't you?
He pushed his voice a little raspy as they looked to each other from across the flawlessly clean floor tiles, the hum of the appliances all around them filling the tense silence. There was too much at stake to kick up a fuss. The fact that all for one had appeared here without laying waste to the resort, and everyone in it, was a miracle in and of itself. He'd had the advantage of surprise, hadn't he? His husband had told him during quiet conversations about that day, when they were alone, that he was sometimes woken by nightmares fueled with the kinds of destructive powers Shigaraki had stolen. He didn't want this to be another horror to plague his lover's mind. He needed to get him and their precious people out of here alive and safe.
As usual, our dear Shouta-kun is the voice of reason, isn't he?
If only he knew how.
Let's have it, then.
Seeing his husband stood at the side of that detestable old bastard was making his hackles flare. The son of a bitch had maneuvered him there on purpose, he knew, and there wasn't a goddamn thing he could do about it, especially in this small, immaculate kitchen. If he made a move to snag his lover and get him to safety, what was stopping All for One from turning his ire across the resort? He could level it with the sweep of his arm. Their friends, the staff, the children wouldn't have time to react.
Very well, the old prick grinned, but not here, I think,
he mused, and as those garnet eyes locked with his own...
What?
His whole body froze, his ears flooding with static.
Toshi, what are you doing?
Shouta, brace yourself, my dear. This will be quite jarring for you, I'm sure. No, the room was spinning, swirling, whiting out. He didn't want to close his eyes. He tried to move. Then he was weightless. Everything went black. It was hard to breathe. Humming, his astral-projected form stood in his classic black suit, a supernatural wind gushing about to disrupt the stillness of one for all. Shigaraki cocked a brow as he surveyed the room. Oh, it looked like the cell he'd trapped his younger brother in once. Now, no, that wouldn't do, and so with a snap of his fingers, the chamber split open to reveal a swirly grayish void snaked with crumbling pathways, platforms, and doors. Ah! Much better. How very symbolic. Now then, he called into the emptiness, his gaze shifting from the dark clump of fog cloyed at his right, before looking into the golden mass a few paces before him, a smirk tugging his lips. Isn't it rude to keep me waiting, Ototo-kun? Then a chuckle slipping past his pleased lips, he watched as the boy he'd adored to the point of torment stepped out of the foggy background, the form of Shimura Nana and two others he'd fought before and slaughtered also emerging with him. Aniki, the other murmured, his hand pressing upon the metaphysical meat of dear Toshinori's shoulder, whilst Nana placed her own gloved fingers upon her protege's left. Whatever it is you're planning... Oh, no warm words of welcome, no platitudes? He grinned as the top of All Might's head was revealed right down to the bridge of his nose. I thought I'd raised you better than that, Yuichi-kun. He quipped before, now that the buffoon was awake, he placed his own hand upon the bundle of static next to him. Shota's startling under his touch should have brought him more satisfaction than it did. It's been a long time. The only person he'd ever considered family admitted, the limp tendrils of his ivory hair billowing around his gaunt face while those soft green eyes moved from him to the man he'd brought with him, his brows furrowing. Please don't. I suppose your concern is justifiable. He grinned, his head inclining towards the eatery owner, so rapidly blinking, his body similarly concealed as he sluggishly jostled about to crane his head enough to look from him to his husband, so close and yet so far away. However, you needn't worry. He shrugged lightly. I have use for this man. He is the cause, you might say, of this little get-together, he explained, whilst Nana narrowed her caustic gaze at him. You? Now, Shimura-san, he called, another chuckle leaving him despite himself. I'm here to talk, he assured. Nothing more, nothing less, he continued as she frowned at him. Not that he minded. To see her not smiling was something he'd longed for at one time, a time that he was to move past as he embarked towards the future he wanted, a future he was certain he could create now, and so... The first thing I would like to say is that I'm not sorry exactly for the terror and pain I've brought to all of you, he stated mildly. To be fair, I don't believe I'm capable of being sorry, but I do feel a modicum of regret. He told him frankly, his younger brother balking a little at his words. Oh, Toto, I'm not asking you for forgiveness or anything so paltry, as I don't care about such things. I do, however, wish to express that when you were alive, all I ever wanted was for you to join me, to share in the vision I was creating, and in my anger at your continued rejection, I failed to see that you weren't inflicting harm on yourself to spite me. You were doing it because that was the only thing you felt you could control. I see that now. He sighed, his smile thinning. As the oldest, as someone who only wanted your support, I saw your disregard of my plans. I saw your disregard of the plans I had for the world as a betrayal, and that I do regret the more I think on it. I was trying to force you to submit and bend you to my will, but people shouldn't be broken. I see that now, too, he affirmed, because what use is a husk? You were so healthy once, and I robbed you of that, just as I robbed you of your life, and what did it bring me? He huffed, his tone a little incredulous. How long have I been chasing you? Chasing your many iterations, Too long, Nana answered, her gloved hand squeezing the golden mass that was writhing desperately, no doubt trying to bring more of himself into this realm, the fold. When will you be satisfied? How many more lives must you ruin? You... No more, with any luck, he cut in, his sly smile returning. Following from my dear Shota's example, I believe I've found another way, he revealed. Actions speak louder than words, don't they? He offered. That's why I wanted you to be the first to know that I'm setting up shop, as it were, he added. Aniki. His brother breathed, his non-corporeal form taking a hesitant step towards him, even as his 3 helpers moved to stop him. Does this mean that you're willing to compromise? Or does this venture of yours still include taking one for all? He asked. Shockingly, I no longer want nor need one for all. In fact, that great oath keeping it and passing it on when the time comes is something I'd prefer. He said, his smile growing even further as the veritable peanut gallery across from his bulked in quick succession. Ah, that's what you've been hoping to see. Yes, yes. Shock and awe, how utterly delightful. That you honestly expect us to believe you after everything you put us through? Snickering at Nana's incredulity, he spread his arms in a wide open gesture. Believe what you like, he tittered, but what I say is the truth. Oh, yes, because dear Toshinori and his successor, and the successors who will follow, why, they'll be the perfect fail-safe measures that I'll need. That my new country will need, just in case anyone thinks to overthrow me as the leader of the community I'll build.